Great to bounce back the way we did coming off the bye. I couldn't be more proud of a group of men than I am the players and coaches and how we responded. I thought they were prepared by the coaches, and they went out and executed and done an outstanding job. So, and I would also say this, as great as that performance was last week, it was last week. We got to move on. We got a good football team that's coming in here on Sunday in Tampa Bay. Those guys, in my opinion, can do pretty much everything from a standpoint of run the ball. I don't look at the stats and where they are. You look at White and Edmond, Chase, they do a great job in toting the rock. Their receivers, as we all know, Evans is probably one of the best in the league. He can run every route on the route tree. He can run by you, Godwin, and then as well as Tompkins and Palmer. They can take the top off. So we're going to have our hands full. So we got to do a great job. And I think Baker is playing at an extreme high level. He's protecting the football. He's placing it where it needs to be placed. Those guys are rallying behind him. He's a fierce competitor. And I'm excited how he's playing. And we got to do a great job of trying to stop him this week. So with that, I'll take your questions.
How did it feel being down the field for the game?
It was fine. I enjoyed the interaction with the players. I think it was, in that regards, it was good to be able to look in their eyes and communicate and, create some clarity in my thoughts moving to the next series.
Is that the main reason you guys gave up 3 points and forced 4 takeaways?
I believe me, that wasn't nowhere near the reason why. We got good players. And me being down on the sideline had nothing to do with it. I was just really excited once again how they responded. I'm not living in the past. I felt like we were a little tired, and we needed that bye. And you could see when we came back on that Monday that they were fresh with their legs. Their attitude was completely different, and we played to our standard this past week, and we got to be consistent moving forward.
Steve, all the years you've been doing this, I don't know if we asked you last week, how many years have you actually spent up the stairs versus on the sideline, and what is the advantage of being on the sideline?
Again, I was in the box in Carolina. I was on the field in Cleveland. I think the advantage is just that direct communication with the players, where I thought our communication was great with the coaches. But being able to talk to each position group and hear their thoughts, tell them my thoughts, it just projects how I think the next series for us calling the game.
Chase Young on Sunday, and how has he continued to pick up the defense?
I thought he went out there and played well. It was a Buckeye meeting at the quarterback first, per se. So I thought he did some great things. Kasarik is, in my opinion, the best D-line coach in the league, and he's getting the best teaching. And, he's continuing to progress in the things that we want him to do in regards to stopping the run and how we play it. But I think right now he's playing well. I'm excited to see what he does this week.
You've talked a lot about tying the pass rush to your coverage. It seemed like you guys were able to do that on Sunday. Trevor Lawrence patting the ball a little bit more than he usually does. How were you able to do that? What was making that work?
Again, I thought we complemented each other well. Also, coming out of the bye, just trying to evaluate, our coverages, our front, most importantly, how they look, and what I had been calling previous weeks. And what we tried to be able to do is just work on our disguise a little bit more and try to create some confusion, to where maybe he thought we were coming when we're not coming, and then vice versa. We're sitting back, and all of a sudden we bring pressure. So it's just definitely trying to take the game out of the coordinator's hand and allow the quarterback to be able to see certain things post-snap.
Thomas, and what can you do differently with him on the field as opposed to Isaiah
Oliver? I like Ambry. I thought Ambry did some great things in preseason. And also, too, just to speak on Oliver, I thought has, helped us win a lot of football games early on, and he's going to continue to help us win games. This league is all about, each week is matchups and different things. So I felt that Demo played well inside. Ambry just brings a different element when he can play outside. I love his man-to-man technique. I think he's quick in and out of his breaks, and he's physical. He steps up and he tackles, and I love the way he took the ball away. In plus territory when those guys had 3 points. We took points off the board.
You played
8 games, and then everybody pretty much agreed that you needed a bye and that the bye was beneficial. And now you got to play 9 more and potentially the postseason that you hope. How do you keep fresh over that stretch that's even longer than the one that you started the season?
Well, I think really, and hats off to Kyle. I think he does a great job of really orchestrating, the practice and how we go about our business, whether it's, taking pads off, whether it's trying to create a walkthrough, having the foresight and the forward thinking to understand that, we got 3 games right here in 12 days, and how we go about our business is trying to really preserve some energy, but also be effective in what we're trying to get done. So he does a great job with that. And, I think we'll be fine. We got another mini bye coming up after the Thursday night game, so that'll help us a little bit as well. But our focus right now is on Sunday with Tampa Bay.
He hasn't played a lot.
So much of the focus was on the pass rush, during the losing streak, what's wrong with these guys. But obviously, as Nick noted, the coverage was tied to that. The guys in the secondary, were they taking that personally? Did you sense?
I hope we all were taking it personal, being 0-3. I know I was, and I do agree that those guys were getting criticized. But if you understand and know the game and watch actually the tape, we got a lot of pressure on the quarterback. So there was different things, yes, probably within the secondary that we could do differently, starting with maybe the calls and allowing those guys at certain times to be a little bit more sticky in their coverage, or as I just talked about this past week, giving a different look, which confuses the quarterback and makes him hold the ball a little longer. And that's all we really need sometimes with the guys that we have up front, is just that second hitch, So, again, it was great to see those guys complement one another.
Year Brown, he only got a few snaps. Some of them look kind of promising. Where is he in his development, and what do you kind of want to see from him going forward?
Well, it's funny. We were just talking about him on the last play of practice. He's progressed and gotten a whole lot better. When you really look at the college season, it's pretty much over, right? Probably getting ready for conference play and bowl games. So he's really had that full year, and you can really see his confidence and how he moves around at practice, just the way he communicates and those kind of things that he's gotten better within this year. So I'm excited about him moving forward, and any time we can get those guys into the game, it's just only going to continue to help develop them.
Steve, how do you get better at defending the screen game? What can you do in practice to get your guys better prepared to defend the screen?
I don't think it's so much, and if one of you guys would indulge in doing the study, I'm sure you'll figure out it's no magical call with the screens. It's all about sometimes effort. I said all the time, you just got to go whoop that in front of you. You got to set the damn edge, and, we got to get guys turning and running, getting out of the stack. It's just sometimes that simple. If you look at the way our D-line turns and run, I think a couple of weeks ago, Cleat, I forgot who it was, what team rather, he saved one because, we just turn and run, but we got to do a better job setting the edge perimeter of the run game and stop running lateral and just get vertical. So that's the key thing there. Rather you're in 2, rather you're in 3, rather you're in man, somebody's got an ass. That's it.
How about the key to stopping Mike Evans, or trying to stop Mike Evans? You've obviously faced him so many times over the years.
It's tough. Big body guy. You try to sit here and you press him. He's going to muscle you at the line of scrimmage. You play off. He, very deceptive speed. He's going to run by you. So, again, we got to mix things up, from a standpoint of man zone, getting our hands on these receivers and just really trying to be physical.
Treveri's getting a lot of penalties. I think he's had 10 called on him this year. Are they ticky-tack penalties that he's drawing mainly rather than flagrant?
Well, a penalty is a penalty. What I emphasize and talk a little bit more, he has outstanding feet, and when he moves his feet and he in what I call in-phase position, we don't have to grab. So we're trying to get away from that a little bit and just really trying to emphasize more of his technique and how that's going to help develop him, within the course of the rep. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
When you were scouting him before he came here, that made you know that he was going to be a good fit for your system?
Well, what's funny with John is John came to, when I was coaching at the Dolphins, John came to our local pro day. And he was like a fringe guy that you're like, God, this guy's this guy's got something to him. And you liked him at the University of Miami, too. He was rough and just the same guy as today, a gritty, tough, hard-nosed, a very good player at the U. And then, he comes in the league. And so when we scouted, we're at that point where we're like, we're counting on a lot of young guys, so let's keep looking and seeing. And just like with our system, it's not a lot of people do it is run as much outside zone and things that we ask our guys to do. They do it in little bits and pieces. And so you have to look hard to say, okay, I see it there, I see it there, I see it there, and how can he do it? Can he do it a lot? And with him, it was we were scouting him, and they actually didn't run any of that stuff really in New York, but they pulled him on toss crack plays, and you could see when he pulled, you're like, oh, there it is. There's that little bit of quickness. There's that little bit of something in there. It was the same thing with Banks. We got Banks on Notre Dame. It's like Trent looked and said, this dude's a monster. He's not going to fit in our system. But then all of a sudden you saw him go out on a screen and you saw him pull on a power play. And you're like, no, it's there. But what you have to do is you have to then drill it every day to get it out of him. And you saw it in John. And then so he was already a good pro, hardworking, smart, tough, great, all those things. But then you saw just enough of what he needs, the skill set he needs to play in our system. It was there.
You've been around Trent since the beginning, basically. And was he really only 75% the other day?
I think that's probably a pretty accurate assessment of where he was, seeing how he was on Friday, and then how the guys managed the pain, going up to the game and everything. So there's always they get to a certain point and they know that they can probably make it through. Ogden, I always reference these other cats, but Jonathan Ogden was the same guy. I remember him. It was the first time I heard it. We were in Baltimore, and he goes, "Yeah, the guy I'm playing today, I can play at 75, 80%. Now, if we were playing Dwight Freeney, I think I mentioned, I don't know if I could go at 80%, 85%. And I don't think anybody, the 100% thing in this league is everybody gets hurt, right? And so playing at 100% once the season starts is really hard. To say you feel fresh as a daisy and all that is not probably it. So, but yeah, I would say that's probably what he was. But it didn't show. I think there were certain plays. It wasn't like the championship game a few years ago against the Rams where he wasn't anywhere near that. And then it showed on almost every play.
Chris, how's Colton looked at practice this week, and who do you have most confidence in at right guard, right tackle? It's not Colton. I'm
sorry to interrupt you. Colt looks fine right now. Right now he's doing well. I don't know the extent or all those things. Like I said, I'm really hard pressed to comment on anything on injuries, other than the fact that he looked fine at practice today. And then right now it'd be go with Matt Pryor. But although Jalen did such a nice job at left, it would, you think if Matt stumbles or doesn't do as well, if something were to happen to Colton, that maybe Jalen would go in at that spot. We have that flexibility. Same thing at the left. If for whatever reason Jalen's not doing well, Matt could go to the left. They both can play both sides. It's just that with having them up that way, they can focus on one, and it does help them in prep instead of having a swing guy.
What was your impression of Kyle at the end of the game? Force feeding McCaffrey after he asked for it. It seemed like kind of an old school, Dad kind of did that with Terrell Davis to get him 2,000 yards. What was your impression of that?
Yeah, I think you can always get to the point where you're like, risk of injury. I get it. Man, like I called McDaniel. I said, dude, you have it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to break the scoring record, right? This is a unbelievable record here, right? I think it's the right thing to do. Personally, I think it's the right thing to do. I could be wrong, but I think there's too many times. Like I'll never forget. Sorry, another story. I'll never forget. We're playing Tennessee Titans, and I was at Baltimore, and we came in at halftime, and they were kicking our butts. I mean, up and down. We had no. And I came in and sat down, and we were talking about plays to run the second half. I said, "Hey, did we have a first down?" And somebody looked at the stat sheet and said, no, well, we got one, but it got called back by a penalty. I said, that's the first time. I mean, and it was like 15 years. I said, I've never played an NFL game and not had a first down at halftime. So I like those firsts because I know for it to be a first in the NFL is a big deal. So to be able to score that many touchdowns, that many consecutive games is a really, really big deal. New England Patriots. See, I love this story, but New England Patriots, all of a sudden before the kickoff, I'm in Miami, we're playing the Patriots. Olindo Mari's the kicker, and he comes up lame in pregame warmups. And all of a sudden, Wes Welker becomes our kickoff, our field goal kicker, our receiver. So he kicks a field goal. He kicks off and makes a tackle on a kickoff, right? He kicks extra points. He scored, I think he might have had a receiving touchdown. I didn't realize all this was going on. I was actually the offensive coordinator. I would have handed him a run to get him in, but his shoes ended up going to the Hall of Fame on Monday. We lost, but you realize this was a pretty special moment. They took his shoes and they sent him to Canton because nobody had ever done all those things in one game. So now I forget the original question, but the Christian McCaffrey, I know I did, but Christian McCaffrey and his deal. So yeah, that's I think it's a really special thing, and it was something worthwhile.
What did McDaniel say to you when you
I text him, and Mike doesn't respond to text during the season. So I got to a couple other people in the organization. I said, dude, I would have gone for it. They're like, we didn't think so. No way. I said, it's 70 to whatever it was. I was like, dude, come on. I mean, another 7 points, it's over. So go for it. But I get it. I get both sides of that story. Excuse me?
He big time you?
He did not big time me. If Mike does not respond to people during the season, he's very hard. It's been that way forever. It's kind of a bone of contention with everybody. He doesn't. Then in the bye week, he did send one text, which was nice. So.
Chris, this Tampa D line, what do you see? Cansey, Vea, Wilson. They got a lot of different kinds of players.
Yep, as always, the defensive line is a very, very talented group. Vita Vea is talent, man. He's a beast and does a great job for them. 94, the young kid from Pitt. I don't know all their names right now. 94 does a really, really good job. The edge rushers are good. I mean, this is a talented rush group, and you got to be on point. You got to be on point. We've had to be every week. I mean, these guys are, it's nice to have them at home. I think when we played, Cincinnati, not a great game for us, but protection-wise, we held up okay against those guys, and it was because I think you get them on the grass, you have the cadence, you're not going silent count. All those things add up to help us at home. Now, that doesn't mean they don't come in and just run us over, too. They're a good rush group, and Todd Bowles is not afraid to pressure and make it really hard on everybody. So I think they're a talented group, and again, another group we got to be very well prepared for.
Looking at what they've done this year, have they blitzed as much as they normally do?
I don't count those things because I think it's all statistic of one. It's what are they going to do against you? You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a one game. We could say it's a trend, but why were they blitzing Philly or why were they not blitzing Philly? And then why were they blitzing this team and that team? So to me, it's like I don't really look at it that much. Todd Bowles been coaching forever. He's got every blitz in the book known to man, and kind of like when the guy from the Giants came in here, it's all there, and it's just what are you going to see, and why he would decide to do it to stop you. And even though you look back, you say, okay, well he did this to Kyle here, he did this to us at this other spot, and then you're like, there's a whole other bag of tricks. And then he looks at the season this year and sees what maybe we have something that needs fixing that they could pick on. So who knows?
All good?
Thanks for putting up with my stories. See you guys.